that deal allowed me to quit engineering.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Because after the portfolio, we had some funds, and then we did this one. It just didn't make sense to me to keep doing engineering anymore. It's like, what am I doing here?
I don't know what you're making, but let's say you're making 80, 90,000, maybe 100,000 as a few years into it, maybe 110, whatever it is. But if you get you make 150 divided by 275,000, that's more than 6 months of salary. Like you're on your way.
Yeah, in 3 months we did that. Yeah. And 2 months before we did the portfolio.
And there you go, boom. So your annual salary, you're way beyond, way beyond that, probably multiple years of salary. Correct. So that's good.
That's still impressive to like get that quick. Like I don't know, respect. You guys like I get you take calculated risk, but that even for me, like that was still, so I started doing real estate in 2010, right? And I was an engineer till 2018. Right. So
took you 8 years to extract yourself.
and I was doing 10 deals a year, and I was and by the time I left, I had 40 something doors, something like that, apartments, right? And I was still like, should I do this? You know what I mean? And you guys are like, we did 3 deals and we knocked it out. We made a bunch of money. Let's go. We're in. That's it. Which in hindsight, if I did what you did, I probably would be even further ahead of where I am now, because just focusing on real estate has changed my life in the past 5 years. Yeah.
Well, I've learned that anyone who's truly motivated and really goes in head first to whatever it is that they're doing, I've never, ever once talked to anyone who's a business person that has their own business, and whether they're realtors or whatever it is, title company or whatever the business is, I've never heard of regret. The only regret I hear, let's put it this way, is that I should have done it sooner. Just like Larry said. I believe the same thing too. I shouldn't have worked in corporate America for 8-9 years. I should have done it sooner. I should have just gone out and started my law firm right away out of law school. I should have taken that risk and that chance, and I didn't do that. But it put me almost 10 years behind, some of my colleagues. So but now it's, now you just want to work extra hard to make up for that time.
That's it. So. And it's not a part-time thing for us either. It's a full-time.
Full-time show.
Every day, all day.
We were just joking before we started the podcast here about how much your phone buzzes and rings all day. So it never ends, right? When you own your business. Yeah. So, but it's fun.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Enjoy it.
I'd rather work 80 hours on what we're doing right now than the 9 to 5.
The 9 to 5, 40.
Amen.
Amen. Typing away at the desk or something. Yeah.
Agreed. 100%. 100%. Nothing. I never am upset if I'm go to a coffee shop on Saturday for 4 hours and do my work and catch up on projects and work on my website or whatever I'm doing, to get to that next step. And
I can dress however I want. So. Thanks for the memo for you guys.
That works.
So, and when did you quit your job, Tito?
So I retired. So my first single family home, my house that I did myself, kind of got me interested. And when I realized the potential of what I could make, I laid it down. So I would say that was in 2020. Is when I went in, told my my superiors, I said, hey, put my 2 weeks in. Yeah, I got something else, and they completely understood.
That's ballsy too. And the thing is, it's so hard to extract yourself from a job like that. That two things. One is the benefits are incredible. The health benefits, the insurance. You're married. You've got kids. Yep. How many kids do you have? 2,
3.
Three.
Yep.
I mean, those benefits are costly. And the second thing is the schedule of a fireman is such that. What is it? What do you normally work? Like 24 on, 24 on,
24 on, 48 off.
48 off. So you had the time you could have continued dabbling in real estate, right? With your license and done some listings here and there and made some money and on top of what you're making as a fireman. But you went and just ripped the Band-Aid off and said, let's go.
I really did. I called a mentor of mine. I kind of got him on the phone.
Plus 17 years in, which I didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
It's not like you were 7 years in or 4 years in. You're vested and you're continuing to vest more and more.
Correct. It's a part of your identity at that point.
Yeah.
Totally. Fireman.
Yeah.
So it was a hard jump. I mean, it really was. But I made the phone call, called a mentor, and spoke with him. It's Austin Rutherford. And I said, hey man, I'm thinking about like laying this down. And he's like, do it. I mean, no reservations. Wow. He says, jump in, do it. Believe in yourself, educate yourself, and just run. And I did. Wife was fully supportive behind it.
Well, that was even
huge.
more amazing.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah. You want to have your partner in life, your wife, that is there and not, not just focused on the safety and security, which
Correct.
oftentimes I hear is sometimes it's not always.
Yeah, no.
People get that support when they make that leap. So
That's
good,
right.
Good for her. Yeah, that's great. But let's get back into it. Let's dive back into it. So you had the flip in Boca. You made 150 net on, and where'd you go from there? And by the way, along the way, tell us how your marketing tactics are
you
changing
sourcing
over
these deals?
time.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the beginning that are getting these deals, and then later on maybe you're tweaking that or you're adding marketing tactics onto it?
That's important because when we were doing Boca Chase, we still had other deals that were flowing in. So we're still underwriting, running numbers on other properties, and then putting other things under contract and just
wholesaling.
Correct. Yeah.
How much were you? How many deals a month were you wholesaling? Say 2-3 years ago.
You would say one a month or so, maybe not more. Two, at least two.
Probably like 2.
Yeah, at least 2.
Okay.
We're
And
starting
where were you kind of getting this inbound from?
So Jose, we had.
I'll take it from
here.
here.
Let's go to the data guy, not the drama guy, the data guy.
No, so we like to pull everything from the account. I mean, we've been tweaking stuff along the way. We just revamped our marketing 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But
That's always going to be the case, right? Because I'm a broker, and man, I have a marketing director, and every morning we're meeting and saying, okay, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? How are we improvising or changing, or because that's what this is.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So, but what we're doing is basically we pull data, public data from the county. We try to see what kind of problems we want to dive into. We early on in our business, we start figuring out that we're good at solving code violations. So we start pulling a bunch of properties that had code violations every month. We stack them with other stuff that makes
Other
they say
issues,
they're vacant or they have a pre-foreclosure. And then the more problems they had, those ones we would see that they were the most motivated sellers, and we'll focus on those ones instead of trying to like reach out to everybody.
So who's getting on the phone?
We have a team.
Okay.
So when we pull the data, which is public data, everybody has access to this data, So we would pull it, he would stack the properties, and then we have a team, VAs overseas that do our
In the
cold calling.
Philippines,
So okay, so you have Filipino cold callers.
Cold callers, yeah.
Right.
So
I have a
we
staff
don't
of
call.
6 Filipinos. Jaron, I mean, you have a staff.
I have a staff of
a bunch of
Filipinos as well.
I have a mix of different areas, but Philippines, Spain, actually, other places. Yeah.
That works, you know. So they get the data, they'd call, they'd warm them up, put them into our CRM, and then the leads would get assigned to us, and then we actually followed up, and then so we're focusing on Palm Beach County. It gives us the opportunity to, I know there's a lot of virtual wholesalers out there or do things virtual, emails out, but this gives us the opportunity to actually go to the house, meet them in person, build rapport.
That's important.
And it's
Who's doing that? You?
Yeah, we'll both do that.
We'll both do it.
We both do that.
Go together, or
you divide and
or you just
conquer, or
divide?
Sometimes together. We kind of depending on what
Depends,
we're doing.
Who the
Depends on your
seller is.
schedule.
Someone doesn't like me, I'm like, hey, go to this house. Someone doesn't,
Vodka.
We don't like vodka. Let's go to
there you
Rome.
go. That's another added benefit,
Sorry.
Yeah, but typically, like what we do and has been working for us is in the mornings, I take care of the data on the VAs, the systems and processes for us. In the evenings, we get on the phone, try to lock up deals. Tito likes to be in the field. He likes the construction site. So in our flips, he works in the mornings, takes care of the crews. In the evenings, we try to look up deals.
Yeah.
How many, in order to do the business you're doing, and we haven't even got there yet, but like how many phone calls are you guys making a day? Is your team making a day?
Yeah. So we have 2 different strategies. So we have the multi-dialer. So basically,
what do you use, like a Mojo or?
So we use smartphones, smart dialer.
Okay.
At some point, we were using call tools. We kind of
you
use
learn,
them.
you adapt.
Totally.
We've been trying a bunch of them, but those ones we call like 4 at a time. Like that's kind of the system we were using, and those you call about 800 dials is kind of the minimum
A day per
a day per caller
per
full
caller.
time. Yeah.
Man.
Let's say I looked at the data, or we call about 800,000, 900,000 a year is how many dials they'll have in.
Wow. How many of those, let's say 800 per day, I don't know if you've done this analysis, but how many actually have people pick up of the 800 calls?
I don't have.
You don't
we
go through on a
we follow some KPIs.
forensic kind of.
Yeah. What are your KPIs for the cold calling team?
Okay, so from first of all, we skip trace. The skip tracing from the 100% of the leads, we get about 80% accuracy, sometimes 75%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not bad.
So that's another thing. So we try to analyze the data differently, not just like, okay, we got these results and then we just call whatever we have.
Yeah.
We call those, but at the same time, we have a VA that focuses on the other part that didn't get results back. So what do we do with those ones that nobody's calling? So what we do is we, one by one, we clean that data and we skip trace them again, or we try to send direct mail. Sometimes we have somebody that does door knocking for us.
Some deep prospecting.
So we try to get in front of pretty much most of the time. We try to focus on the people that nobody's trying to reach.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that we try to call.
That's where we've done well as well, like kind of getting real detailed, right? And so I have a VA, same thing, that manually goes in and skip traces.
Yes.
So you like it gets real cleaned up. And then I have one cold caller that's local actually, that dials locally. But I'm doing brokerage business, and usually it's a little bit of a different experience. It's my branding, and they know who we are to a degree because it's very hyper local in Boca, right?
Correct.
Versus just like shotgun approach, which is kind of what you guys do. Who has a pulse and says they might sell? Okay, so somebody says they might sell in the conversation online or with the virtual assistant, it gets pushed to you.
Yeah, it'll get pushed to either one of us. So our VAs will assign us a task.
How many calls are you having like a day?
Minimum, we try to do at least 10 calls a day.
10 calls a day.
We'll try to get
Those
on
are
and do 10
motivated sellers. So
Yep.
our conversion in KPIs is typically we do like 10 leads to a contract.
Okay,
That's what
so
typically
contract
get.
per day.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I probably a bit less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's typically because we start doing follow-ups after that. Like,
Got
like
it.
80%.
So it's
yeah.
maybe not 10. So maybe it's not 10 new leads per day. It's 10 calls a day.
Correct.
Well, that's actually pretty good. You've kind of like my view of that was like, 800 per dialer per person. And then like that funnels down to like under 10.
Yeah. Well, and it builds too. So we will have the lead on the phone. They don't sign that, right then.
course.
We have to do build. So then that goes as like a warm or hot lead, and then we slowly work that lead until it, we'll convert it into a.
And that's all you guys. You're working them. You're
That's us for
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Is the main goal if they're here in South Florida to try to meet with them, right? Face to
Yes,
face. Have you
like
found
to.
that's where you get your best
Correct. Because people
results,
are
right?
bombarded. They're bombarded.
How
with,
do you do business otherwise? I know there's wholesalers that kind of figure this out without, but in South Florida, I don't know how you get it done without meeting them in person.
Yeah.
Right.
It's key.
Is that your feeling?
It really, really is key.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
The market's different down here.
The conversion is all different. I mean, we've done locked up deals in just over the phone, but typically we meet them in person first, and we try to let them know, like, hey, if you want to check on us, just call the title company, call these companies, so they know we exist. We're real.
Do you have a Google My Business page with a whole bunch of reviews or anything like that? Is that
Don't have the reviews, but we have just a general website.
We have a Trustpilot thing like for reviews, but I mean, we got like maybe 4 or 5 reviews. It's not.
got it?
Yeah.
So having a web presence isn't really that critical for you right now. Like you haven't found that to be that people need to see because they want to go Google you when you leave their house or when you get off the phone with them. Like you don't. Is that a major?
It's not major, but if we
a
got off
speed bump or something. Yeah.
Yeah, if we get off the phone with somebody, and they have like a reservation, we can refer them to the site, and then we refer them to our title company, so that way they can kind of look and vet us and see, okay, who are these guys real or are they not?
Got it.
Of course.
So it works.
Yeah, but we don't really use the website for marketing. Most of our leads are outbound, and unless they ask us for a website, we don't really talk about
So
it.
no pay-per-click, really.
we don't do it.
You're not doing SEO work. You're not like none of that.
Yeah,
You're really focused on mailers and outbound dialing.
Yeah, we recently started doing more mails. Before it was like very niche.
Yeah. What are you doing on the mail side? Curious.
We just started that. Yeah.
Yeah, so now that's kind of what we shifted to. Now we're really focusing on being first to market.
Yeah.
That's our main thing now.
That's
so
key.
we try to, for example, probate records, we try to be as quick as possible. As soon as those probates come out,
The day the record comes out, get that letter out.
we send them direct mail right away. We call them, send them text messages and voice messages if they don't answer.
Got
So
it.
we get in their face.
How has the probate lead source been?
That's probably our second best lead
Got it.
is probate. And the reason is But one of the reasons why we focus on Palm Beach County alone as a foundation, it allows us to maximize all of our systems and allows us to perfect everything down to a T. And if we don't like it, we can adjust. So once we have this locked in, then we can expand, you know,
makes sense.
to other counties and whatnot. But by having us do that locked in for Palm Beach County, it allows us to get speed to lead, first to market, you know, because there's other companies out there who are taking the same data as well too. So we're getting it, you know, 7 days before they're even processing it, and it gives us a little bit of a jump.
Yeah,
got it. You know, I so you know, I have the cold call team, but right now I only have one guy, and we tried the probate thing. It wasn't, but again, it might be to your point. I was using some kind of, I forget what it was. It was a system that was providing us the leads.
Third-party software.
Third-party software. Are you guys circumventing the third-party software to get it sooner, or are you guys using a third-party
You're getting it direct from the source,
We get it direct.
from the courts, probably, yeah.
And
Prop
so
string or things like that, we don't touch them at all because typically they come like 2 or 3 weeks after.
Got it. Super, super interesting. Yeah, that feels like that's probably the move.
It is.
Yeah.
An example analogy that I have is when I first started my firm in 2010, it was during the foreclosure crisis. And at that time, I was getting, I met a guy that he was gathering this data directly from the courthouse on a daily basis. And he would pipe the data to me in an Excel spreadsheet. And he was getting this data to other sources too, not a law firm, because what I was trying to pitch was my foreclosure defense services, charging $395 per month for foreclosure delay, essentially, so that it gave them, the homeowners, time to work out either a loan modification or a short sale or something else, or a bankruptcy, God forbid, if they had to. And we would assist them with those different services too. But the point is that I was able to get that data so quickly and I worked with my mailing company that I made sure that they got that letter out that day. Like we would get it in the morning, 9, 10 a.m. And I wanted those letters in the mail by 5 p.m. because I talked to other homeowners over time, some period of time, and I would just periodically, I would ask them questions. And within just a matter of maybe a week to 2 weeks, they would have 50, 60 mailers in their mailbox from attorneys trying to pitch them these services. But when I was the first one to get that letter and they opened the mailbox, they're surprised because they wouldn't even have been served yet with a foreclosure lawsuit. So the process server hadn't even knocked on their door. So they were astounded when they opened up my letter, and I've got their case number, I've got their bank, I've got, their name, and I'm letting them know that here are your options. You're about to be served with a foreclosure complaint if you haven't already. And they would call me immediately.
Instantly, yeah.
And in the beginning, I was getting like a 3% response rate on mailers. Even with, as attorneys, we would have to put advertisement in red. So even with that, which is terrible because half the time people are just going to throw it out. They don't open the letter and see that there's critical information in there. But I was getting a 3% response rate in the beginning. Over time, after about a year and a half, that started the response rate came down, unfortunately. But but at any given point, we would have about 100 people paying us $400 a month just to fight this. And then we would make money off other ancillary services. But the point of my story is that getting that data directly from the source as quickly as possible and getting your marketing out, your calls out, your letters out, that's absolutely critical because it's first to market. You got to beat other people. So.